I want to talk today about documentary photography, but not in the way I usually do. What I won't be discussing is assignments, client briefs, or deliverables. I want to talk about photographing your own children or your pets, or the life that's happening right in front of you every single day, and why I honestly think that it's one of the best ways to fine tune your ability as a documentary photographer. Because for me, this kind of photography sits at the very heart of why I picked up a camera in the first place. When we talk about documentary photography, we often think about assignments, clients, briefs, and deliverables. But some of the most valuable documentary work we can do happens much closer to home, with the people and animals we live with every day. When I photograph my children, I'm not trying to create images. I'm trying to create memories. And I'm not talking about the big, obvious moments such as birthdays, milestones, the stuff everyone photographs, but the small, quiet, ordinary moments that don't feel important at the time. The way they sit, the way they move through a room, the routines, the chaos, the calm. Documentary photography teaches you that meaning doesn't arrive unannounced. You have to notice it while it's happening, and photographing your own life trains that muscle every single day. There's also something powerful about documenting growth and change. Children grow quickly, pets age faster than we'd like, and when you photograph them consistently, you're not just recording how they look, you're documenting who they are right now, their personalities, their habits, their phases. This is long form documentary work without a deadline, no expectations, no end point. That kind of freedom allows you to really observe. You start to see patterns. You start to anticipate moments. You start to understand how stories unfold over time, not in single frames, but in sequences. That's a skill you can't shortcut. From a practical point of view, it also keeps your eye in. If you only ever shoot between or when you're being paid, photography slowly becomes transactional. You start associating creativity with pressure. Photographing at home keeps you sharp in a different way. You're still working with light, you're still composing, you're still reacting quickly, but without the weight of expectation. You're practicing timing, you're practicing patience, you're learning to let moments breathe instead of forcing them. And that translates directly into better client work, whether you realize it or not. It's also where experimentation happens. At home, failure doesn't matter. You can try slower shutter speeds, higher ISO, weirder compositions, shooting through doorways, letting things blur, letting things break. Pets especially are brilliant teachers. They don't pose, they don't perform, they just exist. And you have to adapt. Some of the techniques I trust most in my professional work were first tested in these spaces and still are, where no one was watching and nothing was at stake. And then there's the idea of personal projects. Photographing your own children or pets is a personal project, whether you label it as one or not. Personal projects give your work depth. They remind you why you care. They push you outside the visual habits you fall into when you shoot the same kind of thing over and over again. If you only ever photograph what you're hired to photograph, your work slowly starts to look like everyone else's. But when you photograph something emotionally close, something you genuinely care about, honesty creeps in. Honesty is the thing clients respond to, even if they can't explain why. And if I'm being completely honest, sometimes the reason is much simpler than all of that. I photograph my children because I bloody love photography. I love noticing things. I love freezing moments I know I'll miss one day. I love the quiet transaction of seeing something clearly. I love looking at something from a different angle or perspective. This kind of photography strips away ego. There are no likes, no metrics, no comparison, just you, your camera, and the act of seeing. Staying in love with that, I think, is what makes you better at everything else. So if you're feeling creatively flat, If you're between jobs, if you're questioning your direction, point the camera back towards home. Not to build a portfolio, not to impress anyone, but to remind yourself why you started. Because sometimes the closest stories are the ones that teach us the most. One day, these moments will be all that's left, and I'm grateful I thought to notice them while they were still happening. This isn't about perfect photographs. It's about paying attention to a life you don't want to forget. The closest stories ask the least of us, just that we show up, look carefully, and press the shutter. Long after the work is done and the cameras are packed away, these are the photographs I'll be glad I made. In the end, this is the work that reminds me why photography mattered in the first place. If you've enjoyed this podcast and would like to listen to more topics just like this one, then why not consider following the Visual Storytelling Podcast, so as not to miss out on not only new episodes, but catch up on previous episodes you may have missed or simply wish to listen to again. And until next time, be creative, be inspired, be you.